Welcome to Movie Scraps. In today's video, we will be going through the 2015 movie The Sand. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie starts with a group of friends having a party at the beach. They are dancing, singing, and playing games. This is when they find a huge ball with a weird substance on it. They start to mock it and even cause some damage to the object. They end up breaking it not knowing what's inside. When all of them are tired, they end up sleeping in their cars. Two of the friends, Kaylee and Mitch, wake up in the lifeguard shack. Kaylee's boyfriend, Jonah, awakens in a nearby convertible next to a girl named Chanda, along with Vance and his girlfriend, Ronnie. Gilbert wakes up, stuck from the waist down in a trash barrel, having been put there as a prank after passing out. A girl named Marcia was sleeping on the table, and when she wakes up, she feels a little out of sorts and starts throwing up. The others think that it could be due to drinking last night, but Marcia feels extremely weird. The rest of the teenagers, including Heather, are nowhere to be found. There are, instead, a bunch of empty sleeping bags in their places. A girl named Kaylee then sees a crow getting sucked in the sand and she gets scared. Marcia, who is trying to find her top, goes to the same area of the ground where the crow gets sucked in. Kaylee tries to warn her, but she does not stop. As soon as she steps on the sand, her foot gets stuck in. She tries to pull it out, but in vain. She then uses her hand to pull out her foot, but her hand starts to get sucked in the sand as well. She cries for help, but no one comes to her aid. Finally, a friend of hers named Vance goes to help her, but he falls face first onto the sand and his face gets stuck with the sand. He tries his best to move, but to no avail. In a few minutes, the boy Vance and the girl Marcia get sucked in the sand, and their friends are unable to do anything other than cry as they watch their friends getting claimed by the sand. They then decide that they are going to get out of there right away. They try to start their vehicles, but the engine does not respond and they are unable to move. Then we see a fat guy stuck in a drum and he is trying to get out when the boys and girls around him start shouting at him, telling him that if he steps on the sand, he will get sucked in too. He however says that you guys are messing with me. He says it because he has not seen what happened earlier as he was sleeping. A friend of his then tells the fat guy that the help is on its way. So, if he stays in the drum, he will be able to make it out of there alive. The fat guy finally agrees. In truth, there's no help on the way because they are unable to call anyone as their phones are in their cars, and they cannot take them out as their cars have run out of battery because they left the lights on during the night. Kaylee then says that they were partying on the same sand last night. What has happened to it now? They then realize that some other people are also missing and end up concluding that sand has already claimed them. In the meantime, the fat guy again starts to shout, saying that he is getting irritated by the sunlight and he needs to get out of this drum. His friend throws sunscreen toward him, asking him to apply that. This is when they spot the object they broke last night. They realize that it was an egg and they have committed a big mistake by breaking that egg. The object has been shattered into two pieces, which means whatever it was in that egg is out now. They now start to think that whatever it has gone in the sand and sucks in anything that steps on the sand. Kylie throws something on the sand and it right away gets sucked in. It is now confirmed that the creature is in the sand. Jonah then says that they cannot keep sitting there waiting for something to happen, they themselves will have to step up. He uses two surfboards as a bridge to reach the picnic table. He slips but does not fall on the sand. He holds onto the table, but his body is too close to the sand, so something comes out of the sand and slashes his stomach. Jonah throws snacks and drinks to his other friends, but he starts to feel excruciating pain in his stomach. When he is unable to bear the pain, he lies on the picnic table. Everybody then starts panicking and they say that they have to get their phones, and the phones are in the dickies of their cars. They cannot open the dicky while sitting in the car, so they have to come up with something. Ronnie and Chanda then step up and attempt to retrieve the phones from the car, but Ronnie gets her fingers crushed under the trunk's lid. In the meantime, they spot a beach patrol car. They start shouting for help. The man finally comes to them and says that the teenagers these days pull off the stupidest shit after taking drugs. When he is about to step out of the car, everybody starts shouting at him not to step out. He does not listen, and when he steps on the sand, everything is normal. The creature does not attack the petrol man. He right away goes to the stuck fat guy to help him out of the drum, but the boy is too heavy and he is unable to pick up the boy alone. He says that he's going to call his team and they are going to rescue them. They then say that their friend's fingers are stuck under the lid. He goes to her but does not help her get out. Everyone, especially Kaylee, starts shouting at him, asking why he is not helping them. He approaches Kaylee and asks what is the problem with her, and why she is being rude to him. Kaylee says, "Why don't you see that we are in trouble?" She tells him that we cannot come on sand because it has already sucked in 2 friends of ours. The patrolman, however, tells them not to play games with him. He then asks them why is he not getting sucked in the sand. He asks them to come down, but Kaylee and her friend do not come down. He gets angry and goes on to take out his gun and ends up dropping his keys on the sand. He bends down to pick up the keys and everybody warns him not to touch the sand. He does not listen, and as soon as he touched the sand, his hand gets stuck in the sand. He tries with all his might to free his hand, but in vain. He uses his spray, but the sand does not let go of his hand. The creature eats off his arm and he screams as he sees the blood showering out of his body. Kaylee comes forward and picks up the spray, thinking it could come in handy later on. In the meantime, the patrolman gets sucked into the sand. Everyone starts talking and they figure out that the creature was not attacking the patrolman because he was wearing strong shoes. The boy then asks his other friends to throw towels toward them. He plans that they will wrap the towel around their feet and will manage to get out of there. Chanda throws his towel from the car, but when Mitch attempts to catch the towel, the banister breaks and he falls onto the sand, where the creature kills and consumes him. Everyone starts crying and shouting as they see their friend getting sucked into the sand. Kaylee then manages to jump right into the car, and as she lands in the car, she slaps Chanda, saying that it was all her idea. The 2 girls then manage to free their friend's fingers. Kaylee wraps her hand with a towel. On the other hand, the fat guy who has been stuck in the drum for hours now starts to feel extremely frustrated and tired. His body now starts swelling because it has been stuck in a drum. He is now in big trouble because his body starts to bleed as well. When his blood drips down the drum and touches the sand, some tentacles appear in the sand to suck that blood. The creature is now aware that a human is nearby. On the other hand, the 3 girls use grills and make a safe passage from the car to the picnic table in order to reach to Jonah, who has been injured for a long time. Chanda carefully walks on the grills to get to Jonah. The girl with the injured hand tells Kaylee to go next because her hand is bleeding, and if the blood drops on the ground, the creature could attack her. Kaylee then walks onto the grill and reaches the table. In the end, the girl with the injured hand walks on the grill to get to her other friends. As she is about to get to the table, a drop of blood falls on the sand and the creature shows up. However, it does not yet attack the girl. But looking at the tentacles coming out of the sand, the girl gets scared. She gets imbalanced on the grill and falls right on the sand, and as she does, the creature appears. The tentacles get wrapped around her body, and as the creature starts to drink her blood, the girl gets sucked into the sand as well. Kaylee looks at the whole thing very closely. She even tries to use the pepper spray on the creature to save her friend, but it does not work and they end up losing yet another friend. Then we see that the fat guy who has been stuck in the drum for hours now starts to bleed frequently, and the blood is now all over the drum. The tentacles get attracted toward the blood and start to climb up the drum. In the meantime, Chanda wraps all the towels around her feet and walks on the sand. To her good luck, the creature does not attack her as her feet are not touching the sand. Everyone cheers on as they see their friend walk on the sand without getting attacked by the creature under the sand. She walks around and goes to stand on the bonnet of the petrol car. Everyone now starts to see a ray of hope. The fat guy also cheers on as he thinks that he is going to be out of there soon. He raises his arms in triumph and starts to enjoy, but little did he know that he is surrounded by the tentacles and they are already inside his drum. The fat boy named Gilbert is then attacked by much bigger tentacles that look like a giant snake, and as everybody looks on, the big fat dude gets devoured by the creature, which has now become a lot bigger. The creature has now become really big as it has eaten so many people already. It is now visible on the ground and everybody gets terrified because it can now attack even when they are not stepping on the sand. It is now way stronger and bigger. Chanda, who was dancing on the bonnet of the petrol car, is now crying and shouting in frustration and fear. While the girl stands on the bonnet, the big creature crawls and gets close to the car. It starts to shake the car and the girl standing on the bonnet loses balance and falls headfirst on the bonnet. Because of hitting her head, the girl goes unconscious right away. Kaylee is now left alone because the others are not in a good condition. Jonah is hurt and he has been lying on the table since then. And Chanda is also unconscious now. Kaylee looks around her and finds no one. All of her friends are either dead or they are injured. She leans on Jonah and starts crying with helplessness and defeat evident in her face. Then we see that it is night. Chanda wakes up and finds a self-inflatable raft in the back of the truck. She inflates the raft, and Kaylee and Jonah use it to reach the patrolman's car. However, before Kaylee is able to get into the petrol car, the ground erupts, knocking Kaylee out of the open door and onto the raft. A huge glowing tentacle shoots out from the ground and assaults her. She manages to get on top of the car and finds 2 gas cans on the rear rack. The creature snatches one of the gas tank away from her, but without wasting any time, she uses the other gas tank. She throws gasoline around the car, and on the creature as well. She finally gets the tentacle to catch fire. The creature now looks in trouble. It moves to here and they're in pain as Kaylee looks on. Kaylee then goes into the car and shuts the door behind her, but the creature tries to open the car door. However, due to being set on fire, his power starts to fade away. Kaylee, Chanda, and Jonah finally lock themselves in the car as the creature's tentacles bash it. Eventually, the attacks stop. In silence, the creature itself goes into the sand. It is late at night, and all of them are tired and exhausted from the horrifying events of the day. So, they fall asleep in the car. In the morning, a man who seems to be a patrolman knocks at their window and the girls hesitate to get out. When they finally step on the sand, their feet do not get stuck in it and they walk normally. The creature seems to be dead and there is now no movement in the sand. Then we see that Jonah is dead because of the fatal wound inflicted by the creature. In a closing shot, the creature, revealed as an enormous jellyfish, is seen in the water, headed towards Santa Monica Pier. This is where the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.